So, this is me, longingly scrolling through YouTube, watching reviewers tell me how great the A7S III and FX3 cameras are, how they have amazing dynamic range and fantastic performance in low light and 10-bit colour. But alas, they're out of my budget, with their retail prices ranging from between £3,000 to £4,000. It seems me and my old gal, the Sony A7 III, we're not quite through yet. But then, this story took a dramatic turn. Out of nowhere, a camera was released in May 2023, which content creators were saying was a stripped-back FX3 or A7S III at a more affordable price. Could this be true? This camera is the Sony ZV E1. It has the same sensor as the FX3 and A7S III. I simply had to get my hands on one and find out for myself. So here it is, the Sony ZV E1. Does it live up to all the hype? Well, I certainly think it does, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons now why I think it is one of the best cameras you can get for shooting real estate with. But just so you don't think I'm completely blowing smoke up Sony's ass, I'm going to give you a few reasons why there are a couple of compromises that you need to think about too. But first of all, let's get started with the good stuff. Reason number 1, let's go. Coming in at 1, we've got to talk about that sensor, the Bionz XR 12 megapixel sensor. What does all that mean though? Well, it basically means it's really good. It's got 15 stops of dynamic range and works great in low light. And if you shot real estate before, you'll know that there are 2 things that you need, because you're often shooting in poor quality lighting situations, especially here in the UK, where we get about 10 days of good weather a year. And you're often shooting in rooms where you've got bright windows and dark interiors. That's where the dynamic range comes in really handy.
Excuse me, may I interrupt? Well, my Sony A7 IV has 33 megapixels compared to your piddly little 12, so there.
Well, my little friend, more does not always mean better when it comes to shooting in low light. That's because we've got a full frame sensor and we've got 12 megapixels on it. That means the megapixels are going to be much bigger than if you got 33 megapixels on it. That means they're going to be able to absorb more light on it, which means it's more capable of soaking in more light in low light, which is why it's great for shooting real estate video in. Reason number 2 is it's got 10-bit color. But what does that mean? You got your 8-bit? You got your 10-bit? Well, here comes the science bit.
Well, when we talk about bit depth or color depth, we're actually talking about the tonal range in the reds, the greens, and the blues. In 8-bit color, we have 256 tones in each of these 3 colors. Multiply them together, and we have over 16.5 million colors that we can work with. However, in 10-bit color, there is 1,024 tones in the reds, the greens, and the blues. Multiply these together and we have over 1 billion colors that we get to work with. Amazing!
Well, thank you, Mr. Scientist. Now we know that, what that basically means is you're going to have way more information and more colors to work with when color grading. That means you're going to get your colors just spot on when you deliver your videos to your clients and make them look. Reason number 3, it's got dual native ISO. That means it's got 2 ISOs where you're going to get really crisp footage. You've got 640 at the base level, and then you can go all the way up to 12,800, and then you're going to get nice crisp footage again. That means if you go up from 640 and keep going up and up and up, you might start to get a bit of deterioration in the blacks, but then when you tick over to 12,800, you're going to get all that detail back, and that also means that you can shoot really good footage in low light. Reason number 4 is the size of this thing. It's very small and very lightweight. And if you've watched videos on my channel before, you'll know that size and weight is something I value very much, because I shoot photos and video on real estate shoots. And I've got quite a big camera set up for my photos, so to then have a small camera set up for video, it makes things a lot easier getting around the property. So when I have this paired with my DJI RS3 Mini, it makes for a very lightweight camera setup. And I also put on the 11mm APS-C lens on this camera, and that makes a super lightweight setup for me. And I know I hear some of you gasping now saying, an APS-C lens on this camera, but why? Well, that's another video I'll be making soon and will be linked at the end of this video, so be sure to check that one out too. And reason number 5 is it shoots 60 and 50 frames per second of 4K with no crop, which is absolutely fantastic because that's kind of the sweet spot you want to be shooting real estate video with. It also shoots 120 frames per second with just a little bit of a crop, I think 1.1 crop, which is also absolutely amazing. But I think 120 frames per second for shooting real estate is a bit overkill, but there might be times you want to use it, so that's absolutely fantastic. You can do that too. So now we move on to the compromises I spoke about earlier. One of them is it's only got one SD card slot. And that could be an issue if you do have any problems with that one SD card, because then you've lost all your footage. And a lot of the new cameras do come with 2 SD card slots, so you've always got a backup. But to be honest, in the 15 years I've been doing this, I've never actually had a memory card fail on me while out on a job. The only times I've had a mess with this is if I've deleted stuff, and I've usually been able to regain it through using something like disk drill. So that's not really an issue for me. The next compromise is the much talked about overheating issue. Well, it's not really an issue, because when you shoot real estate video, you're only ever shooting short clips, 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe, so you're never going to really have a problem with that overheating. The only time you may have that issue is if you're shooting with an agent and you have to do longer clips, but again, you're only ever doing a minute or 2, so this really isn't a problem. And the final compromise is it doesn't come with as many customizable buttons. But that's because it's been stripped back to make it more affordable, and that's why this camera really is so good, because it's affordable and because it's got that amazing sensor in. So you really are getting a great camera to shoot real estate video with. So if you are in the market for one, I would recommend this camera. And if you've liked watching this video, please hit the subscribe button to see more and leave any comments below, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.